it's time for my weekly video coming to week 8. We've got a lot to talk about, rankings, awards, headlines, and predictions, so let's get right to it. Alright, first, Cam Skattebo may never recover. If you did not see that game or that injury, it's bad. It's really bad. His foot got caught under a linebacker who did an illegal hip drop tackle that was not called, and his foot got stuck and it went 90 degrees, resulting in a dislocated ankle that will require surgery and an end to his season. Which is so bad for the Giants right now after just losing Malik Nabers a few weeks prior, because they really need that sort of energy from a rookie like Cam Skattebo. And I really hope he can recover, because if he doesn't, his career might have been over right as it started, because a bad ankle can ruin a running back's career altogether. Next, the Jets finally did it. I don't like it. As a Bills fan, I don't like it. But the Jets finally got a win over the Bengals of all teams. Out of any of the teams that I wanted them to get their first win over, Bengals were not high on my list, because I really want them to hold out for Joe Burrow, and after this game, I don't think it's going to happen. Justin Fields looked pretty solid on offense, and the defense, no, but Justin Fields would have been benched for Tyrod Taylor had he not been injured in practice, so we'll see if he can do even more as his job is a little bit more secure. Next, Jonathan Taylor for MVP. Now, I think he is Offensive Player of the Year right now, because right now MVP is basically just Quarterback of the Year. But I think Jonathan Taylor, aside from the Saquon Barkley year, is having the most dominant running back season in a really long time, getting tons of 3-touchdown games and being basically the engine for this Indianapolis Colts offense. Without him, Daniel Jones would have a lot more on his plate and a lot less leeway to actually be able to play at this level. Next, Xavier Worthy over Tyreek Hill. Now, hear me out. Xavier Worthy is about the same archetype as Tyreek Hill, the speedster, a man that can get a ton of deep space, except this is with an older Patrick Mahomes with less options. Tyreek Hill had a lot of support from a younger Mahomes and more options. Now with Xavier Worthy, he's getting a lot more time, and he's delivering on everything. So with a couple more years of experience, he could be a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Our main headline, Bills-Chiefs might be the game of the year. Both offenses balled out this week, combining for 68 points. And that's going to be quite the shootout, and this is going to have huge implications to see if the Chiefs can really get into a high seed, or if the Bills could start gaining on the Patriots. And the Bills are going to need every win they can get, because the Patriots have a cakewalk of a schedule in front of them. Alright, now for the Week 8 awards, starting with the most improved team being the Bills. They really needed a good win after those 2 losses, and they showed up, making it a clean game, 40-9 against the Panthers. Really great stuff heading right into the Chiefs game. Our biggest decline is the Falcons for the second time this year, because, again, I've said this before, they're the most inconsistent team in football. Because one game, they'll beat the Bills 24-14. The next game, they lose to the Dolphins 34-10 and let Tua Tagovailoa throw for 3 touchdowns. Next, the biggest surprise is the Jets. Man, I was not expecting them to get a win over the Bengals. Game of the week was somehow Jets over the Bengals. How? And snoozer of the week was Buccaneers over the Saints. The lowest scoring game, and it was the most one-sided overall. MVP of the week is Jordan Love, having a great game over the Steelers. Yes, their defense is one of the worst in their entire franchise, but getting 3 touchdowns, 2 to Tucker Kraft, and just overall having a great offensive day where they felt like they were in control the whole time. It's a great win for them. Clutch player of the week is Justin Fields, having a great come-from-behind win over the Bengals with that last-second touchdown, and then what a way to hold on to that to let the time expire. It's a surprise player of the week was Tua Tagovailoa. One missing eye, and he has his best game to save his job. Crazy stuff. And miss of the week was the referees. If you saw that Giants and Eagles game, it was not pretty. Not at all. Super Bowl prediction for this week is the Colts over the Eagles, because the Colts are, again, the most consistent team in football this year, and they haven't really showed any signs of weakness aside from 2 mistakes made in one game. And the Eagles, I feel like they're coming back to form. Saquon Barkley had a great comeback game with 150 yards and a couple touchdowns. And if it follows the patterns of last year, having a slow start but then exploding in the second half of the year and then winning the Super Bowl, this team could be dangerous. Play of the week is Jonathan Taylor's outstanding run against the Titans, having to evade about half a dozen defenders out to the side and just absolutely turning on the Jets before getting a giant 80-yard touchdown. Crazy stuff. And then blooper of the week was obviously the no fumble call. You didn't blow the whistle before he fumbled it, and then you blew a whistle after it was lost and his knee was not down. Absolute horrible stuff from the refs that game. Alright, now for the power rankings, starting in Super Oof tier. One of the larger Super Oof tiers in a while, starting with the Raiders, Jets, and Titans on the bottom. Yes, the Jets got a win, but no, they will not be moving up too high. However, the Raiders are the bottom 1 team. We have 3 teams falling down into here. Saints and Browns returning, and Panthers being down here for the first time in a while as well. In Oof tier, we have the Rising Dolphins after that win. In Oof tier, we have the Rising Dolphins after the Falcons win, the Giants after their horrific Cam Scadaboo injury, the Falcons after that horrible loss to the Dolphins, and the Cardinals. In mid-tier, we have the Cold Bengals after the loss to the Jets, the 49ers, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Cold Commanders after a chain of bad losses, most recently to the Chiefs. In solid tier, we have the Jaguars, falling Bears, the Ravens, and the Texans. Not a lot of moves here. The powerhouse tier has the rising Chargers, Broncos, rising Patriots, and falling Buccaneers. The Buccaneers I still think are a really good team, but with those injuries and with the unconvincing offensive game, I can't put them in Juggernaut tier. Speaking of Juggernaut tier, we have 8 teams, starting with the Rams, the Hot Bills, the rising Seahawks, the Hot Eagles, the Lions, the Hot Packers, the Chiefs, and the number 1 team, the Colts. All 3 of my hot teams are in Juggernaut tier because there were not a lot of mid-risers here. Now for predictions, we have a lot of locked games here, starting with the Lions, then the Packers, Chargers, Patriots, Colts, Jaguars, Rams, and Seahawks. Just about over half of the games I think are absolute locks because there's a lot of bad teams in these games. Well, let's start with the Thursday Night Football game. This one will be interesting because the Dolphins are riding off a really good offensive performance, but I do believe the Ravens are getting Lamar Jackson back. So we'll have to see, but I think the Dolphins will be able to pull it out at home, and the Ravens still not having a lot of momentum just yet. If they do win here, then I do think they can get enough momentum to maybe make the playoffs. In the Sunday early window, we have the Bears at the Bengals, which will be interesting because the Bears do not have a lot of momentum, but the Bengals might have some of the worst momentum after losing to one of the worst teams in the league. However, I'm simply going to pick the Bengals because they have home field advantage here. With the 49ers and Giants, this is the injury bowl because both teams, the injury demon does not like them this year. But I'm going to take the Niners because they have enough raw talent to beat out a really good defense. Next, the Broncos at the Texans. I do think the Broncos should be able to get a win, but the Texans have a lot of offensive momentum and their defense is still really good. However, the Broncos, I feel like, have been able to win games in really any situation at all. So I think they'll be able to pull it out here. Now for the game of the week, easily we have the Chiefs at the Bills. This is going to be a shootout, but I think the Chiefs have a little bit more momentum than the Bills, both offensively and defensively, so I think they'll take it there. And then on Monday, the Cardinals and the Cowboys playing, and you know how this game's going to go. Cardinals are going to lead in the first quarter, then lose it out in the fourth quarter and lose by 1 score. Yep, Cowboys are winning. Offense is just too good for them. Again, thank you for watching my video all the way to this point. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. I've got a couple non-weekly videos coming down the pipeline. We'll see how long those will take. And I will see you next week.